I started off in shipping with a very small boat. The name of the boat was Sipik, and it's a workboat. It's one of those carryover from the war years. And it carries about 100, although don't let the NMSA know, but we used to do about 120 bags, and we tow a dinghy, and I used to stay at the back of the dinghy and scull the copra, and I carry a lot of copra, and I provided a very reliable services to the people in the outer islands. Gosh, I'm not a politician in the early stages, you know. I am a businessman. I'm a shipping man, and I sailed around the New Guinea Islands, and particularly New Ireland. And it wasn't until that the people felt that I was providing a service, then they asked me to stand in for them. There was a coast watcher by the name of Ray Lacey, living at Warramong, Anir Island. Now he likes his drink a little bit, so he solicited me to take part in one of the night sessions. They've prodded the idea of me standing for them for quite some time because they were getting the services, the medicine, even the ice creams. I was able to get to them, so they thought that is the man. So one night they got me into that situation of, you know, getting together, and I followed them a little bit, and I was half drowsy, and they put the question, and so I said, I will. And that's how I stood for the, I got ready in 67 for 68. That's how I, as I said again, I was not born to be. I was just simply a hard-working person, running my own business, or my father's business. Politics was something, you know, very distant. I play rugby, I play football. Those are my games. And then this game came up, so I had to play that game. I was not tuned in to the kind of, you know, political context and establishment and foundations. So a lot of people helped me to put me in, and there were some very famous people who did a lot of work and are very reputable at that time. People like Dick Lanzarote, Ray Lacey, Graham Carson, Malakolan, you know, and I had to compete against a very strong sitting person, politician like Robert Sito. You know, I was raw, but I had some very capable people on the ground who were very influential traditionally, and they helped me and they got me through. At that time, to try to get better services and promoting development, roads and bridges were crucial. Education was something, whether you have it or not, it didn't make any difference, because what does it mean? It did not mean anything at that time because people didn't have to compete to find jobs. Money was not really the issue. Huh? But roads and bridges were crucial because that's how they earn their income. And I have to say to you, we had some very hard-working people at that time. Huh? They got up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. They were out on the road. Anir, for instance, got a 35 miles ring road around the big island of Anir Island, built by themselves. Today, if you ask Public Works to go and do it, probably costs about 40 to 50 million. But they did it by themselves. When you are going somewhere you don't know really where you're going, you depend on one another. That was the environment at that time. It cannot be anything else but working together to make a success of it. We all have to row together, march to the same beat of the same drummer, which was under Michael Somare. Then he was the drummer. We met very early prior to self-government and independence, and we were talking about this, this status of a self-governing. I think we were pushed by what was happening in most of the African countries gaining independence around that time. Decolonization was the word, the decolonization. And they have a United Nations Trusteeship Council. So Somare and his group, the Pangu Party, which he later led, they were pretty, spot on in what they wanted to do and what their policies were. And they were pushing for some sort of control in our own country. And, together we sat down separately, and together we started to form the People's Progress Party at around 1970. There was a lot of consultation there, not like now. Nowadays they don't consult, or they do it by mobile or by other means. But in those days, we sit together, we see eye to eye with people, and we understand one another, and we seem to be able to make those judgments not based on just the words, but the mind and the soul, everything together. Because we were treading a path we've never been before. So you ask, what did we do? I really tell you, I don't know what self-government and independence were. I haven't got a clue, never been there before. A lot of things were not ready at that time. You can't have independence without setting up an economic structure of this nation. So somehow I was caught in that situation of having to move into that arena of setting up the central bank, getting ready to introduce our own currency, getting Papua New Guinea into the international arena like the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, and the IMF. I was chosen to lead the Papua New Guinea delegation in 1973 with accompanying then Sir David Hay, who was then the administrator of Papua New Guinea, to appear before the United Nations Trusteeship Council in New York. Hey, friend, I've never seen New York before, and those tall buildings just frightened the hell out of me. And then I had said Thomas Cavalli, John Noel, and a few others now. And I think Ben Sabomai was there too. He was the consul of Papua New Guinea representative in New York at that time. I had to stand up, face this big chamber. Don't forget, I have never been to school to learn about the being an orator. And yet I had to present this to the United Nations and tell the United Nations that Papua New Guinea was ready for self-government and independence. I don't want to tell you too much about how I felt because I was shaking, I was sweated. I've never addressed a big organization like that in my life. Don't forget, I'm a cargo carrier with my little boats. And this was something new to Muslim me. But I did it. We had to do it. We didn't know, really, I didn't know where we were going, but we planned to get this country going forward in a direction that all of us feel will be a little bit better than under the control of somebody else. We got self-government in 1973, towards the end, and we got independence. And they were smooth. But we had a lot of help. We had very good assistance from our colonizer before, Australia. And I think Australia too, being pretty raw in the game, because they're not very good at running other countries, because they were very new themselves. They only came into a confederation in 1901. So they're a little, well, you can say they're just, getting to this state of maturity, but they're handling Papua New Guinea. I think because of that, they were cautious all the way. And I can only say that we had the right people at the time. We had Whitlam, who was, very, forward-thinking, and Malcolm Fraser, big, but man with a very great heart. And then you got a vibrant, flamboyant Andrew Peacock. He was just the right man at the right time. Michael Somari's age, my age, so we can knock each other, talk, outside, and then we come to serious discussion. That's how we got it. Everybody playing a game under some sort of a rules. We had to tread very carefully, because neither Australia has ever decentralized a country before. Neither we have ever gained independence before. So it was a critical moment in the life of this nation at that time. A lot of people don't know. Now they can spend kina, and they got 100 kina notes. But I tell you, to introduce the new currency for Papua New Guinea was one of the most difficult exercises of my time. Half of the country didn't want it, because people up in the highlands, and I don't blame them, they were worried. Tapos you kisim kina na toya by not buying something in Australia. I used the kina and toya to unite Papua New Guinea. Kina is something respected up in the highlands as a monetary wealth, and kina is known to the coast. Toya is something used in Papua, and 120 years ago they married a woman with so many toya, so many dog's teeth, and or wine or something of Sam. So I used that to unite the country, and no one has ever tested it before. I ran the kina side by side with Australia. I called it a dual currency period, 1-to-1. And then 6 months after, I appreciated kina. The independence budget of Papua New Guinea that I introduced in 1975 or 76, I had to crawl. I had to crawl for just 121.5 million Australian. And I had to negotiate with Andrew Peacock. And Andrew Peacock had to go to Cabinet. Somari had to convince. I prepared a brief for Somari to go with the now current High Commissioner to Australia, Charles Lepani, and David Beattie, the planner at that time. They went. I think all these bureaucrats prepared about stacks and stacks of paper for Somari to read on the plane. Turangu Omega, 2 hours that's all to read. So I brought in 5 pages, and I said, hey, Chief, forget about all those things. Just take these 5 pages, go. As soon as you walk in, talk to Fraser, Peacock and Fraser combined together, and we got exactly what we want for independence. I took the job of a Prime Minister because I felt that I can do something better. And then I was stupid enough to listen to Walter Linney in the Vanuatu crisis. I was just, I told you before, when we start this interview, was not born a politician. I'm a hard worker. If you are in trouble, I intend, if I can, I will. Walter Linney was in trouble. Asked Australia, New Zealand, they were not ready to help. I said, we are Melanesian, Papua New Guinea will help. And we got 2 patrol boats. They were the most successful foreign intervention by the Papua New Guinea Defense Force. Yeah, some people want to put that on the side, but the chapter, after my time, will never be erased from the chapter of the making of Papua New Guinea as a country. Yeah? We helped our friends, we gave them independence. We fought hard for it, they did too, but we came to the assistance. Papua and Vanuatu gained independence in 30th of July, I think, 1980. And I was right in the forefront. I knew every movement of our forces at Espiritu Santo. Jimmy Stevens, his son got killed. I told Ted Dero, I'm sending you on a voyage never tested before. Don't let any one of my soldiers die. Because if I lose a soldier, I would probably be hanged. But it's a risk as a leader I have to take. And today we have an independent Vanuatu. Sandline was something that I think the authority of the government, the Constitution prevailed. The sovereignty of the Constitution prevailed. I did not shirk from my responsibility. I welcomed it. I stood by it. There was a vote of no confidence in this days and time now. Probably the parliament will be adjourned. I did not do it. I don't want to present things as if I'm a saint. I'm not. Angelo. I am just a bit, but I respect the Constitution. And it was the Constitution that prevailed at the Sandline crisis. There was a vote of no confidence came from Bill Skates, supported by Somare, 2 big, high-powered guns, you know. I had a number, I could have adjourned the parliament, but I thought, no, that is the People's Parliament. And I happen to hold the office at the pleasure of the people's electors, the members of parliament. So I told my government at that time, I will go through with it. I will entertain a vote of no confidence. If I lose, I'll just step down. I won, but I still stood down because of the implication that somebody was corrupt or something like that with the Sandline. And as you know, the outcome was, I was totally cleared. And I think, you know, if that was a guide, the Constitution of Papua New Guinea prevailed. And the Constitution reigns, not the Parliament. Haram Khan, I want to distinguish these two very carefully. A lot of people think that the numbers of the Parliament prevail. No, God. It's the Constitution that reigned this country. Papua New Guinea became, and I say without any hesitation, probably the most stable country in the last century. The most stable country. And I define stability different from the numbers game. Stability of government, in my definition, is the transition of power from one government to the other without any, problems and disturbance. That is the sign of maturity, not the numbers game. Although we play the numbers game, because that's the Westminster system. And I think it's time now we look at a different system. I would say I give it to the people of this country. The patience, the resilience, their acceptance on something they don't really know. But I think behind it all is the culture, the strength of the chiefs, and also the diversity of the country. When you are, if you look at the fish in the pond, you throw a piece of stone in it, they disperse. And a minute later, they all come together because they don't know. They just know they had to be together. That was the country at that time. So the people stayed together because of this diversity, uncharted future. I know Michael Somare, not necessarily back to front, of course, but better than most. And we used to talk together, drink together, eat together, and spend evening together. I know him very well, and he knows that I know him very well. I have access to Somare anytime, and I want to say that when he was sick and got back and got kicked out of the parliament, I was there with him in the morning, almost every morning, to cheer him up. Recently, 2012. Huh? So somehow we never allow politics to interfere with our personal relationships. If you ask me, do I trust Somare in politics? No. I don't trust him. But it may not be Somare. It may be the people around him. No, you've got to be very careful. Huh? If you talk to me about Somare himself, that's a different thing altogether. Somare is the leader of the party. He's influenced by other people. So, as a friend, he remains a very, very close friend. And